There you go.
So Varsity Sports, we know it's an incredible platform to develop bodies, minds, spirits, and of course, very, very competitive. It's where we've unearthed some of the best talent in the country. And from a developmental angle, especially when it comes to the women's game, it's proving to be the perfect breeding ground for brilliant young sportswomen, brilliant young sportsmen. It's where it all happens. And that's why it's attracted the likes of superstar former Blitzbok captains like Kyle Brown, an official ambassador and a commentator. No, I'm going to throw that in the mix. You shouldn't have told me that. But he's so good to see you fit and in shape and smiling. I've got to ask, before we talk about what's turning into a bumper season for women's rugby especially, I'm so glad that there is a spotlight being cast, not just from a Sevens perspective, but in general. But how are you doing, dude? How's
good?
Post-Sevens life. Is there post-Sevens life, or are you still in it?
Figure out the slowdown, you know. Things seem to be slowing down quite nicely, but then it's trying to get involved with so many different things, and it's really exciting. There's amazing things happening around the sports world at the moment. One of the things is the introduction of women's sevens into the Varsity Sevens platform. Just a great initiative. You know, we've got so much work to do to change perception of women's rugby in South Africa. And we're lagging behind the world. This is the fastest growing sector of rugby.
Love the fact that on the highest tier, we've opened it up to all elite athletes. And that's what you want. And most of our elite athletes are coming through a varsity channel. It seems to be one of the best ways of identifying at a critical juncture. Why become an ambassador? Why does varsity sports, and in particular, Sevens rugby, have such a good foothold there?
I think varsity sports is probably one of the places where I got my first starts. I played in the first Varsity Cup in 2008 with UCT, went in ranked 8th, ended up playing the final against Marty's at the Donny Craven Stadium. So that was like my first big moment in rugby. Ultimately went on to play Sevens rugby, and it's so good to see a brand new channel for guys to get that exposure.
And it's where top tier players are being identified. And it's fast tracks as well, which is great. And you get a university education in the mix there as well. Yeah, let's not look past that. So 2018, Tuks dominated. Who do you see as the kind of shining lights? Where's the stronghold at the moment?
Yes, I think Marty's always fantastic. They've got such a good program down there, and only because they're in our faces all the time. We see it. We've actually used them quite often for training matches, you know. So it's been very interesting to see how they've developed, and I've been enjoying watching all the different teams grow, just the game grow, you know. I think when it started, the level of Sevens rugby maybe wasn't quite up there, but I think the quality of the game is getting better and better, and this weekend coming up at Pirates Rugby Club is going to be awesome. But if you can't make it, it's also on, I think it's 210 and 211 on Saturday.
Yeah, good that it's being broadcast, because we need to see it. I love the fact that Sevens Women's going to be represented at Cape Town, which is going to be massive. When you look at varsity sports as a developmental tool, that for me is the most important thing. We love to kind of sit on our couch and point fingers when those structures aren't in place, but this is the best way, especially for the women's game, knowing how critical it is to get systems, to get the right kind of mentality, that culture embedded in players as much as a team by the time they reach. Why is varsity sports so important from that angle, do you think?
I think it hits that gap between school and professional levels, you know, and I think that's what it's all about, is taking the time to put those, like you said, those structures in places so that people don't end maybe playing some rugby at school and have nothing for a couple of years before professional setup goes. So it's awesome to see that there is a pathway now, and that's exactly what guys or kids and girls and everybody looking to play some form of professional rugby they want. They want to see the channel. Where do I go? What's next? How do I go to the next level?
And it really is competitive in the stands as much as on the field. You want an atmosphere. You mentioned Marty's. I mean, the Maroon Sea is one thing. Why is the atmosphere such a big draw card, you think, for varsity? And why should people go out and support?
I think the atmosphere is probably one of the bigger draw cards for Sevens in general. So for varsity, it's all about keeping students engaged. Shorter attention span than most. So
you've given this presentation before, I think.
So it's about keeping them there, keeping them watching the rugby, keeping them enjoying themselves the whole day. I mean, there's so many activations and things going on around the rugby, not just great rugby, you know, from women's and men's perspective, but, you know, the drinks will be flowing, the booze will be there, and the food will be there, and there'll be dancing and live entertainment. So it's a magic day out, a magic 2 days out at this weekend.
And you get to be one of the first to see that talent as it emerges, as it breaks in. And trust me, the rugby will be good. The level is insane, dude. So proud of you. So cool to see you in a nice kind of calm state after giving so much as the captain of the team as well. You've certainly earned that. Can't wait to hear you commentate one of the World Series matches, hopefully really, really soon. But you can go out and support all varsity sport, I think, in fact, as the breeding ground for the top tier of talent in this country. It is absolutely vital that they get our support as well. And you can maybe have a little sip of something in the sunshine to boot.